let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the Daisy handbag from So Many Creations. I have modified this bag quite a bit from its original form, so just be prepared for that. If you're looking for the original tutorial, go to Jess. She will have it. But if you want to make some modifications, I'm your girl. I'm here. So I added my strap connector in the seam up here. I have this as a fully lined zipper pocket. So inside fully lined, but it's still, the whole thing is a pocket. And then I also have the back slip pocket lined as well. But we still added the little accent because I love it. And then on the inside, we did the card slats and a zipper pocket with overlay. Overall, I love this bag and had a blast making it. I will definitely be making more. This is the tall version of this bag. There is a shorter version. The pattern does not have any pattern pieces. It has pattern templates. So you need a rotary cutter, ruler to create your pieces and then cut using templates. So if you're not used to that or that's not your vibe, steer clear of the pattern, or you can create your own pattern pieces using those measurements. So you'll have to do it once. It's up to you. I know it's not ideal, but I had so much fun making this. It's so cute. So I hope you'll join me and enjoy my modifications. Oh. The Daisy handbag from So Many Creations. I am super pumped to make this bag. I will say I am making some changes to it. Are we surprised? Probably not. So the very first thing that I am changing is I'm going to be sewing a crossbody strap using webbing, which really isn't that big of a deal. But I've got 1.5 inch wide webbing here. I'm going to start by adding my slide adjuster, just by wrapping it around the end. And I'm using a narrow or slim slide adjuster with the webbing so that it will be less likely to slide around. So I'm just attaching that first, using a little box stitch. Cut that away. And I'll use a lighter on my thread just to get rid of any fraying. And then take one snap hook, slide that through, and attach my slider. And then wrap the other end of the webbing around the snap hook. So there we got that. And a little box stitch around that. Keep everything together. And then what's nice about using webbing for that crossbody strap is you can use any size you want. Any size you want. Okay, I'm like, why do I feel like I'm sitting differently? Because I was. I had my chair moved for my cylinder arm. Alright, so that strap is complete. I am not going to be doing any side tabs for this bag. I'm going to be doing crossbody strap connectors. And so, just going to add, I had this stuff. Where did I put it? Maybe I don't have any more. But it was essentially just like a twill tape that you can put to help reinforce straps and whatnot. But honestly, thinking about it, I have these old tags that I literally never use that I can use for this. So I'm just gonna tape that in there. to help reinforce and make it so the stress isn't all on the cork, and it'll be less likely to maybe crack or peel over time. This feels insane to do, but here we are. So these are going to be my strap connectors. This is a 2-inch wide by 3-inch long piece of cork that I've not interfaced, but reinforced with something extra. And so then I will just top stitch that. We're going to be adding this to the side seam of the bag. So I'll go ahead and top stitch that. Just 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And then I'm going to grab my triangle rings and slide that through. Then we can just set these aside for now. So step 4 is going to be to prepare the gusset. So we're going to add piece B, and then we're going to be using some measurements to taper that gusset. And again, if you're someone who's like, wait, why are we tapering it? Couldn't we just this or that? Like, you can do it as the pattern suggests or says to do, and then just create like your own template piece after that if you want. So right now I need to find the center top of my gusset for adding my strap connector. This is my change to the pattern. So I'm going to lay this actually, okay, so I'm going to baste these together at 3/8 of an inch. So lining those up at my 3/8 inch seam allowance. And that way I've got a guide to put that in my seam allowance. So I'll line this up with the center at 3/8 of an inch, and I'm going to baste that down. And this is along the top edge of our gusset. Okay. And that connector is facing down, and you want to keep that bulk in the seam allowance. We're not going to trim that down. So now we've got our top piece B, and if your print is at all directional, just keep in mind which way you've got it oriented. So if you want it to be face up like this, then you would reverse the order and flip it down. We're going to attach that at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I am using a 4.5 stitch length for just about everything on this bag. Keep everything lined up. So we're going to snip that, and then I'll fold that, pressing the seam allowance down towards the gusset, and that'll flip up your connector, and we'll top stitch that into place. And then we can add some rivets to this as well. Flip it up. Like I've got this little bit of excess here that I can just rivet through to keep that in place. But what I want to do before we move on any further is just snip my center markings. Okay. And now we've got those markings to make. So we're going to make a mark in as the pattern states from that top edge, and then we'll make a mark at the side down the amount the pattern says, and then you're just going to lay your ruler to line those up to create that shape. And this is going to taper your gusset to the size it needs to be. We'll just trim that off. And just be careful, since you're cutting away, you want to reinforce your stitches in that area before you go any further if you think something might come undone. So maybe you want to taper it and then top stitch to keep everything together, or just do a quick back stitch where you've connected those pieces. So that is going to be it for this piece, and we could add rivets later. Oh, okay, and then we want to taper our lining gusset as well. And that's going to be piece M. Which makes total sense. And it's definitely best to do that now so that we don't forget. So lining up my ruler. And then if you just keep that like clipped together, you could cut through both layers at the same time. Hypothetically. Okay, goodbye. And just be careful with your measurements and markings, because any of those little things that you get wrong will, I shouldn't say get wrong, but if you if you don't perfect them, you know, it's not going to work out in the end. So, and then make sure that was your piece M, not your card slots. So I'll set that aside for now. So adding the tabs, if you were going to do that, you would do that there. We're going to be adding the corner accents to the front and the open back pocket. So 1A and then piece C. And then, okay. So since I cut mine out to have a back and a front. I want the front and the slip pocket piece. So these are different. And these are the corner accent pieces, and we should have a total of 4 of them. Here we go. And then before I move on, I'm just going to make sure I take what will be my raw edge and just make sure I've eliminated any fraying on the back side of that cork. Just also make sure that you're not catching it on fire or singeing it. I mean, it shouldn't catch on fire, but you just want to kind of feel that you've got an edge that has melted a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit, to prevent that from fraying. You can also add a little bit of glue, or you could take the time to edge coat your pieces. I don't think there's really a direction to these corner accents. Oh my gosh, that's already so cute. But I did mark the top corner of these pieces and I cut them mirrored just in case. Keep in mind too, there is a gusset, so you're not going to have to line these up perfectly. So if they're close enough, it's fine. I'm already obsessed. I'm obsessed. It's so cute. Okay, so we're going to be sewing these on. Yeah, and these are just for fun, so you could skip them if you want. Oh, you could switch up any corner shape, but this is the one that was included. Top stitch 1/8 of an inch around the curve, and then you can add a rivet or 1/4 of an inch. And then you could also trim away to reduce bulk. I don't think I'm going to trim anything away. I'm not concerned about bulk on my machine, but it's good to note if you would like to. So we'll just go slow. And you can do 1/4 and 1/8. I'm just going to be doing 1/8. I'm going to do that all the way around. And then while I'm here, I know that I'm going to be adding my snap tab cover, but I'm doing mine more decorative because I have a lining piece cut for this. So I'm going to find my center. And when I cut this out, I trimmed it down by a little bit. So I've got my centers marked, and I'm going to just lay that into place. And I'll top stitch that on too. Make sure it's straight. And this is my slip pocket piece. This is piece C. And I'm just going slow, hand cranking around the tight curve. So we've got our best look. Oh my gosh. It's so pretty. And we'll repeat top stitching that all the way. Sorry, it's so pretty. And if you're new to top stitching and you're like, I can't keep it straight, focus on one part. So I'm keeping the edge of my accent in line with the edge of the inside of the foot on my machine. And that helps me keep as close to consistent of a seam allowance as humanly possible. So that's where I try to keep my focus, is right here. I'm not watching the needle. I'm watching the edge of that fabric. And I'm only laser focused on the edges that are going to be seen. Okay. So this is my front panel. I'm not going to be reducing any bulk or anything like that. And then if you're adding piping, you would more than likely want to take the time to reduce that bulk as well. Okay, so now we can add an overlay, and it says, note, this zipper pocket is not fully lined, meaning there is not a separate fabric piece that will be sewn to the backside of the zipper of itself. So keep that in mind. So I have an idea of a way to make it lined. If you don't want to line it, that's okay. It's going to be fine. This is going to be front A. So I'm going to fold and snip my center. You can also do that for the bottom, because eventually you're going to need it. And then if you're adding a name tag, now would be the time as well. So I do have a nameplate. I also need my overlay. I'm going to need a zipper pull and zipper tape. Okay. So I'm going to use these two pieces. These are my lining pieces. And for one of them, yeah, just for one of these, I'm going to trace it on the wrong side to the size of my panel. So my plan for this piece is I'm going to mark out where the zipper box is, and I'm going to carefully cut it, fold it, and tape it so that we can line that up. And this is so we can keep that zipper pocket the entire size of the bag and lined. But if you don't care that it's lined, carry on. If you want to do a traditional zipper pocket, cut it to a size that will fit and then do it that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. So she says we're going to add that pocket centered, and it's going to measure a particular inch. And I love that she included that from the outside and then a particular inch from the inside so that you know you've got it consistently where it needs to go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my zipper pocket overlay with that measurement, and I'm going to trace the inside box. And this is on the wrong side of the lining piece that is not part of the pattern. This is Lauren making shit up. All right, so I'm not going to cut out that box. I'm going to measure in the center and make a line, and then I'm going to make little triangle marks. So we're going to be cutting this as if we were doing a traditional zippered pocket, but we're adding an overlay to the exterior. So again, it's a little like, what are you doing? But it'll make sense. So we're gonna very carefully cut this. So we're going to get to that little triangled mark. We're going to cut out to the corners. I'm going to take 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape, just right outside the box. And we're going to fold that open and tape. I'm trying to think if there's a pattern that uses this for the lining of something, and I just can't remember what. But I've been making bags for a while, so like, could be anything. All right, so we're gonna carefully open that and fold it down. And if you use like a cotton fabric, you could glue it and iron it. We're folding all this to the wrong side. Okay. My tape doesn't want to stick because it's such a thin amount. That's okay. Well, it wants to stick to my finger, dang. But we'll at least get it started on being folded. So there's that. So this is going to be the right side that you'll see in the lining. And now we're going to line up that zipper overlay on this side now. And this time we're sewing it down. Gorgeous. And then I'm gonna add my nameplate as well. I'm gonna do that 2 inches up from the bottom and centered. I can hear the tape unsticking as I'm doing this. On my overlay piece. So nameplate added, and we're going to top stitch around the overlay. I'm being very careful where I place my needle to start. I've got long thread tails, and I'm going around the outside edge. And I explained in my cutting video that I like square overlays, so I did not use the template piece, but it's a great template piece. Such a cute rounded overlay. I'm going to pull my thread tails to the back and tie this off. And you want to keep track of which threads belong to which part so that you don't mess with your tension. And you could also apply a little bit of glue to the back side of these if you wanted. I like to kind of tie them together a couple times. And then I can trim it. Take my lighter. You don't want to melt this all the way to the knot because then you might risk your knot coming undone, but you want to go pretty far. All right, we can cut away our excess. Do not cut through your cork for your exterior. And we're not going to see any of this because this is going to be fully lined. So I'm going to cut away as much as I normally would, leaving about 1/4 of an inch of my original exterior fabric. And try to keep it consistent because you would technically be able to feel that through it. Okay. So then we're going to cut some zipper tape. Sorry. I try not to use those for that, but that's what it is. So I'm going to add my zipper pull really quick. I like to use my zipper jig for that. I can do it by hand, but that's okay. All right, we're going to tape our zipper down. And then we're going to be taping that onto the back side and then top stitching our zipper into place. I know, it's a lot. It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be worth it. For me. And you could just double check before you do that. Make sure everything lines up correctly. This is not how we're sewing it, but I'm just eyeballing it so things don't sit funky. We're gonna lay that into place. And center. That's not centered. There we go. So we're not top stitching this. We're going to turn that over. And we can add some more tape to this. It's not going to matter. It's just going to help us keep everything into place. Keep it out of your seam allowance if you need to. So we're going to lay this down and into place. Make sure you don't stretch anything where you shouldn't. Okay, so my zipper pull is here, and I'm going to start in this top right corner, long thread tails. Start it just right. Pivot, go around the outside edge, pivot. All right, we're getting close to where our zipper pull is. So I'm going to stop with my needle down, and I'm going to push my zipper pull in. I'm going to check from the other side. Everything's sitting nicely still. There we go. Pull your threads to the back. finish that off right where you need it. Okay. Long tails. And there it is, fully lined. It's a little tricky, but it's good. Still good. And it's still like the full size of the bag. Now that's going to be a problem when it comes to our seam allowances. Likely. Could likely be a problem. No, I lost a stitch. That's okay. What? Do I still have them? Bring them over here. I bought these like leather tapestry needles someone recommended. I'm like, oh, that would be probably better than what I currently do, but oh well. So I accidentally pulled a stitch out that I shouldn't have. That's okay. You're just gonna grab a regular needle and the thread that should be somewhere else and put it in where it goes. And then you can go back to tying your threads. Like, cool, I did it. Safe. And then I'll be honest, I did not perfectly catch every single piece of this lining. So if you wanted to add a decorative stitch at 1/4 of an inch around that overlay, you absolutely can. But I think it's okay. So now I'm gonna add the lining for that pocket. So you want right sides together. And we're just gonna lay that like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is probably a 1/2 inch seam allowance around all of that, because I'm imagining we're gonna be using 1/4 of an inch to put it all together. Yes. Quarter of an inch. So you could even just do 3/8, but that is going to keep it just outside of our seam allowance while still being a complete pocket in the bag. And then we can trim that down. Okay, you'd probably want to do 1/2 an inch so that you can trim it and then keep a little bit of seam allowance. Yeah. Okay. So that is our fully lined, fully functional front zipper pocket that goes all the way around. And we still have our centers marked on the top and the bottom. And there's what it looks like on the back. You can see it's still, I wasn't consistent with my seam allowance, so I'm still going to catch it on the bottom, which will keep it from being like kind of loosey-goosey. So I feel so terrible. I'm like, well, there's that altered piece done. Like, it's a good pattern. I'm weird. We know that. think I messed up. I was supposed to use one of these pieces for the lining and then one of these for my zippered pocket. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. All right. We are moving on to the snap piece. So if you're following the pattern, you're going to do step 9, which is to make a mark and fold the piece down. And then you're going to kind of add that overlay. And then there's instructions for a fashion snap or a magnetic snap. And technically, I'm going to be doing a magnetic snap. And you would add that through the piece because it is unlined in the pattern, and then top stitch your little snap overlays. I love the snap overlay, man. It's so cute. So what we're going to be doing is I have cut a lining piece to match the slip pocket. I trimmed down my snap overlay because I love the snap overlay the way it looks. I'm going to take my lining piece, find my center. The lining piece that is not part of the pattern, I cannot stress that enough. But it's a pattern. Like, it technically is a pattern piece. You can do it. We need 2 washers and our magnetic snap pieces. I love this card so much. Anyway. So we're going to be measuring an inch down. And I say an inch down because the pattern gives a measurement and we haven't taken away what the pattern told us to take away yet. So 1 inch should be perfect. So I'm going to mark that. And then I'll lay this in the center. And this is going to be our Audi magnet. Just rip that. You could add some interfacing to help reinforce. But this is going to be the Audi portion. And then the innie portion is going to be attached to the other exterior piece. So we've got that attached and the snap is on the right side of the fabric. That's good. Very good. So we're going to line up these pieces. I'm going to clip this together. And we're going to sew across that top edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And if you have trouble kind of eyeballing that 1/4 inch, mark it. Write it on the piece. If you're doing it this way, make sure you're catching, you're going past where you basted that piece on. And at the end of the day, if your seam allowance is not consistent, it is not that big of a deal. If you wanted to do a 3/8 inch there, it would be fine in the end. So for this curve to sit nicely, I'm just going to be adding a couple of little snips. And then I'm going to flip it. Right sides were together. That's good. And I'm going to press that open. And we're going to be putting wrong sides together. Make sure you press out that seam. And then what I like to do is kind of pull my lining down a little bit further so that it's definitely not peeking up through the top. If you like the look of your lining peeking up through the top, you could make it almost look intentional, like a faux piping or something, and leave it up a consistent amount. So now we're going to top stitch this at 1/8 inch. Make sure you're avoiding your snap. And the reason your seam allowance didn't matter, even though you have a magnetic snap, is because we're going to be marking using where this snap is and where it fits on the bag to mark our other one. So I just went ahead and basted all the way around that. Again, not part of the pattern. And then I'll trim this to match just that little excess I had there. This little bit here too. Goodbye. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our little outie snap into a stamp. We're gonna take our silver marking pen, whatever pen you have. We're gonna find our center. Dang it. This pearl cork is just gorgeous. And snip at the top too, just so I have it. We are going to lay this pocket down, making sure everything's lined up nicely, and then press on the snap. And your silver mark should have transferred. That's good. We want that. We can grab our other magnet pieces. On our washer, there's a little center mark. There's like a center hole. So you'll line that up, and that's how you'll mark out your next one. If you feel like you need to lower it a little bit from what it is marked, you can, but I would not do more than 1/8 of an inch lower because you marked it pretty perfect, you know. Okay, there's that. Then we'll lay this into place. It should snap nice and crisp. And then we're going to baste all the way around that pocket. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I love like that it's not a legit match. We've got ourselves a lined front pocket. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Okay. Moving right along. Part of me is like, well, I guess I don't need to do card spots because I have 2 perfectly sized lining pieces. But then I don't have a zipper pocket lining. So, as we were. All right. Got it. And then we're not adding any piping, or you would then add your piping. The piping is really pretty. I'm just like, I'm good. Okay. We're gonna complete the exterior. All right. I have my gusset and my exterior pieces. This is good. This is very good. Make sure everything lines up nicely. They're the same size, because cutting by hand can sometimes lead to inconsistent pieces. It's okay. It happens. But we're going to mark our centers on the gussets, both sides, and the exterior front and exterior back. And we're going to start by lining up that center snip at the bottom. And then line up your top edge. And you're going to work your way down. My preference is to hang my project over the edge of my table so that I'm clipping them the same way that I'm going to be sewing them. And we're going to leave the excess at the curved corner because we're going to be snipping those pieces. That gusset should not fit before you snip it. If it does, it might be a little bit too big, but it's just barely not quite right. So we're going to snip about 1/8 of an inch just around the curve, and then once you push it, it should fit better into that corner. If it's not exact, that's okay. You can kind of press, push, kind of force it to fit a little bit better. And again, it helps to have it on your tabletop and like push against it into the corner towards you and clip it while your fabric is flat. If you're trying to hold it and get it to force, when you lay it flat, it may not sit the same. And then you can also use staples in the curve if you would like. And what the staples are going to do is they're going to hold your fabric together before you sew it together. Okay, so again, like I'm holding it just off the edge and I'm pushing the fabric into the corners. And what that staple will do, if you want to use a staple, is just keep everything where you placed it. And then this is going to be a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But I will tell you, from what I can tell of this bag, if you were to do a little bit more than 1/4, you just want to make sure you do that consistently around the entire bag. Because this, not to say like it's a pretty simple bag, but like it's a pretty standard bag. There's no fancy zippers on the sides where if you have the wrong seam allowance, it's gonna mess it up. So I'm kind of leaning just past 1/4 degrees. And just go nice and slow, making sure we don't get any puckers. And then if you are at all worried about your stitches coming undone, you can do a 2nd row stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from that one, starting at your side seam. Just go down to the curve. And we'll stop where our gusset cent or extender piece is. Trim all of our excess. And we can trim this down as well. Okay. Ooh, saw that. All right, and I think now is going to be a good time. Well, I don't know if I really need a rivet there. Like it's going to sit up against the, I'm going to add a rivet. Who am I? Who am I kidding? I just need 2 caps, 2 posts. Eyeball it. All right. Yeah. Very happy with that. Then we're going to add the other side. Yes. So starting with my centers, and you want to clip it together with a gusset facing up. So I was holding it, and I still am holding it for some of these pieces. Ooh, okay. Your pocket should line up with your accent. Okay. But where I'm clipping it together while it's not sitting flat is okay, because pinching it, and now I'm gonna lay it flat where it matters. I'm manipulating everything to sit flush, adding a couple snips. And you know, you've got a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, so you don't want to go crazy with those snips, okay? Well, don't go crazy. This cork has like just a hint of stretch to it. So it's kind of nice. You can really get it to where it needs to go. And then when you turn the bag right side out, it'll be nice and taut. And those curves will sit nicely. Should sit nicely. But yes, okay. So we'll repeat that 1/4 inch to 3/8, whatever, eyeball. Make sure your edges stay lined up. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. It's gonna be imperative that you do that. All right, and then we're gonna start at that accent overlay piece to add our reinforcement stitches. And then we can trim the excess down. All right. And you can kind of see how the structure of your bag is. I think this is going to be phenomenal. I'm going to push my hardware down inside the bag so I don't forget later. And then I know I'm going to need to open up these seams, so I'll just get them kind of trained now and clip the top. And then this is a zippered top, but it's not a recessed zipper. It's a zipper that like cinches in, so keep that in mind. It says you can turn right side out, but no need. Okay, so step 12 is going to be our card slots. I'm gonna do it. So we need our piece K and our 2 side pieces L. And on the wrong side of piece K, we're going to be making quite a few measurements. she does top stitch. And then she also adds a name to them. C, B, E, E, G, each. And then I should measure so I've got about 1/8 of an inch of wiggle room, which is good. Okay, begin making accordion folds, folding back and forth, right sides together, wrong sides together, right sides together, wrong sides together. Okay. Fold A and B line, right sides together. Okay. And you can use another ruler to help you keep these straight as well. And so it looks like there's maybe 5/8 from each one. No, it should be 1/2 inch. And then I'll be using clips to help hold those together. You got them folded right? Yeah. Okay. Each one should be 1/2 inch shorter than the next one. And you technically don't have to top stitch these, but it looks nice if you do. And then I love keeping random cards to be able to test these. So cute. So like now, let me just kind of make sure I hold the card nicely. And there's room to put like multiple cards in here too. So what you want to do now is we're going to top stitch these. Does it say to top stitch? I don't see the word top stitch, but why not? Let's do it. So I'm going to fold the back side out of the way to start, and I'll top stitch. And then move that back. Keep these clipped together. Move that out of the way. And like once you kind of understand that they all need to be 1/2 inch away from the other, it's less stressful thinking like, oh, what if I don't get these lined back up the right way? You can do. Perfect. Perfect. So that's top stitched, and what we could do is we could even base that down. You don't have to, but you can. So nothing shifts on us. All right. So then we will add pieces L on each side. Using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we'll line up the top edge. If your print is directional, keep that in mind. And again, that piece is meant to be really long. It's so that if there were any issues that you had with folding those or anything like that, different material thicknesses, that it is smaller. And then I'm going to wait to top stitch. So we'll lay this one, lining up that top edge. Don't worry about the bottom edge. It's okay, it's longer. All right, still waiting to top stitch. Don't do it yet. Oh, I love that. So simple. Okay. We're gonna lay this piece down. See, it's bigger all the way around. That's okay. Because she just wanted to make sure, you know, I think I said it. But we're gonna trace that. And then I will top stitch, and then I will cut. And then we've got our zipper pocket to add to the other side. Okay. So I'm going to top stitch this, starting at my marked line. And this is going to keep everything together when I cut, versus, you know, top stitching it, cutting it, and then trying to baste it together or sew it fast enough before it, I don't want to say falls apart, but could potentially fall apart. So there's that. Now we'll trim it. And then we are going to just take a minute to mark our center as well. At the top, at the bottom. Love it. Okay. Now it doesn't have specific zipper pocket pieces, I should say instructions, but that's in step 8. Okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. No problem. So one of these is going to be my main lining, and one of these I'm just going to kind of cut to make my zipper pocket lining. Oh, goodness gracious. So there's 3 zippers. Yes, 3 zipper pulls. We're running out of pieces. That's my favorite time. So I'm going to measure. I'm going to go a little bit lower for this. I'm going to go 2.5 from the top edge. And that is so my zippers aren't sitting at the same spot wherever I choose to put them. And then I'm going to add a little woven label under the overlay. And then we'll sew around that outside edge. Pulling our threads to the back. Trimming that, fusing. All right, we're gonna trim away the lining. Just cut through my overlay. I would have cried and been like, well, all right, no zipper pocket. We are gonna be turning the bag through this zipper pocket. I see in the instructions there's like a lining hole left open. Baby, come back. Good person. All right. So then I'll cut a length of zipper. And zipper pull. So let's fold this in half. Oh yeah, that'll be fine. So just gonna do like that. Cut that straight-ish. Yeah, and it's plenty wide, so it's not a big deal. So I'm gonna put this side. Yes. Yeah. No. The longer one is the back. And my pull is that way, yes. Okay. Got it. So And you want to make sure right sides of your linings are together. I'll flatten that. I'm going to start by stitching the bottom into place first, and then we'll go all the way around the edges. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Zipper pull to the left, centering that pocket, and centering that zipper tape. And then you can tape it down if you need to. Just going to start by stitching underneath within the zipper box at 1/8 of an inch. Long thread tails. Ooh. Now this is kind of a small zipper pocket to turn the whole bag through, but I think we can make it work. It's very possible too, you could make this bag as a drop-in lining, which might be kind of cool. If I make another one, maybe I'll try that. So I will say I love the shape of the tall version of this bag, but I think it's really cool that she includes a short version, so that you feel like you get like 2 bags in one, and you don't have different pattern pieces, you just have your different measurements due. We're gonna press that flat. This pocket, if I didn't already say it, is not part of the pattern, just FYI. This is just, as she mentions, like, do a zipper pocket if you want to add a zipper pocket. And so I am doing a zipper pocket. And you can see, because I like just rough cut that for my lining, it's a lot bigger than I need it to be, but I'm okay with that. I can sew it when I close it all up, when I sew the sides, I should say. I can cut it to the size I need, sew it and cut it to the size I need. So we want to do a couple of thread knots here. This is holding this all kind of together. Right. Open that up. I like to press up the lining when it's going to be turned through. Stitch over my zipper teeth for the zipper pocket lining. Keep that crease. And then we can trim the excess here. So that's our zipper pocket, fully lined, looking good. And then this is the turn hole for the bag. So I like to press that flat and give it a good crease. have, yeah, this woven label I'm gonna add. It says tacos will solve it. So I want to make sure I remember to add that to the lining because I think it'll be hilarious. Alrighty, so we are prepping the top zipper. So she doesn't add the zipper pull, which makes sense. I don't remember what size we need the zipper tape to be. $14 or longer. So I'll go ahead and cut it to like 16. It'll be good. She says don't add the zipper pull, so I'm just gonna take a lighter to the ends, and then we're gonna turn and curve our zipper at a 90-degree angle. And she just uses a staple. I'm like, hell yeah. I like to melt my zipper ends together. I like to, it doesn't mean I'm going to. So I use a clip to hold it, get it to where it starts to melt, and then I just press it. But you could also do a quick little top stitch as well. Tack it with your needle. All kinds of little tricks that people use, so whatever works for you will be perfectly fine. So we'll melt that together. Just be careful you don't burn yourself. All right, got it. All right. Okay. Make a mark at the top of the outside front and back. Measure from the seam, do not include the gusset. And then add the zipper in 2 separate halves. Okay. And repeat. Yep, 1/2 inch marks on each side, like it says. Yep. Okay. 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 All right. What? No, I'm kidding. Oh, I never put my lining together. I'm gonna go. I'll see you later. JK. Okay. Oh, goodbye forever. All right, let's go ahead and put our lining together. Snip our gusset bottom. So you want your lining to fit a little bit smaller than your exterior, but not that much. Just bend over. So we're going to start at the same seam allowance as our exterior and increase the seam allowance as we get to the bottom, and then go back to decreasing it at the top. And your gusset should fit the same, or it doesn't quite meet up. Ooh, yeah, okay. And I'm actually going to leave the bottom of my lining unsewn so that I can turn the bag through that and then finish the bag through the zipper pocket. That'll be very good. All right, so corner curves don't match up. That's good. We'll snip. Start at the same as our exterior and slowly increase it in the lining. said I was going to leave that open. I meant it. But now it's not as big as the other side. That's okay. So long as your curves are sewn, it'll be okay. Okay, and then back to that same exterior seam allowance when you get to the top. And then you can add that second row of stitching to your curve. And then trim the excess away. All right, and the reason I left that hole in the bottom is not very big. I think my zipper, well, it might be just slightly bigger, but I should have left like the whole bottom, but I forgot. I could still do it here. I'm gonna go. It's fine. I'm sorry. We'll leave that side unsewn. I'm gonna make marks on the gusset because the gusset is face up. Okay, so that's my start and stop point. All right. So even though I'm not going to sew it, I still want to clip the gusset into place at the bottom. And the top. Making sure right sides are together for everything. All right, and then now we'll the curves. We'll lay it flat. Add those snips. Do your best to make them fit. The clips are working overtime. I'll tell you what, poor guys. Same seam allowance as your exterior to start, and slowly increase. We're leaving an opening on this side. So backstitch there once you get past your curve, and then start again when you near the other curve. Backstitch. We're using our little bit longer seam allowance, and then going back to that quarter. And then reinforce the curves. And I left just like a jump stitch along my opening so you can trim that away too. Reinforce curves and then only trim away your excess seam allowance at the curve, not down below that, because we're going to sew that up once we turn the bag through. Looking really good. So I like to turn my lining right side out. My preference is to put the lining into the exterior because generally you want to have made your lining smaller. And so I'm going to press my seams open on the lining for now. Keep any extra threads to the inside. I'm terrible about trimming all my threads because I'm like, nobody's gonna know if it's inside the bag. But then eventually they end up like sneaking through when I top stitch or something, so maybe this is a good do as I say, as I do moment. All right, so we're gonna make the marking that is on step 14, I think it was. And it happens to be actually where the curve starts and stops, but just in case if you had any seam allowance issues or anything like that, it can't hurt to just mark it so that you know. And that is where your zipper is going to start and stop. Now, very, very, very important is you want your zippers zipping in the right direction. So right now I'm looking at my bag and my front zipper pocket is zipped. That's good. I don't have a zipper on this, but I can imagine my pull is going to go on that side. It's going to zip to the curved edges. So I'm going to take one of my curved edges. I'm going to line that up with the marking we made and clip. Now you can clip the zipper or you can tape it. I'll go ahead and just clip it, but I do love taping zippers. I do. And then just please be careful that you're not pulling on your zipper right now. Okay. And then we're just gonna, before we pull it apart completely, you are going to clip it to the other side. This part isn't really in the instructions, but I feel like this is making it as beginner friendly as possible so that you don't mess it up. And you want your zipper face down. If you're making it in the same way that I am, your teeth should be touching your exterior fabric. So, just gonna clip that along the top. And then you can go ahead and just pull that zipper apart once you know that everything is clipped in the direction it should be. And then we're going to base that on at 1/8 of an inch. And just press the zipper where it needs to go. Don't force it. Don't pull on it. Don't stretch it. Okay, and then we're nearing the part where we're going to kind of taper the zipper away. And what you do in that point is you just pull it out of the way. I know, it's super complicated. We're gonna go back the other way. And I like to kind of start by stitching over my side seam to lay it flat. I see that mark. This is going to be kind of tricky. We're sewing in the opposite direction, but you want to do your best to kind of replicate what you did to the other side. So this time we're starting on the taper and then we're catching the zipper. And again, don't over manipulate the zipper. This is what I call Ouija board hands, where you just go slow. And now we're going to put our lining and exterior right sides together and make sure we tuck the zipper ends inside. So continuing on with our zippers, zipping in all the same direction, if you like that, we're going to put our lining into our exterior. And then line up your side seams. You can nest them or flatten them. But I like to start with those first. And we'll clip that, lining up your centers. And you need to tuck the tails of your zipper down inside the bag without folding it on itself. So it's a little bit tricky. Okay. And then you want to do anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 to top stitch this. And do your best to make sure that you can see your fabrics lined up together. And then run your finger along that seam to make sure your zipper is flat. Okay. And then I'm at the tail end of the zipper, so I'm lifting my fabrics apart, making sure the tail is tucked out of the way without my teeth. What weird words to say. To make sure the teeth of my zipper aren't at a weird angle or anything. Okay. I'm on the other side, and my zipper has kind of folded on itself, and that's going to translate when we put the bag together. When we turn it, like you're going to see that fold. So I'm taking my fingers and I'm flattening that out. All right, now I can feel everything is good to go. And now with the curve of the zipper, there's not much to worry about. Just make sure nothing shifts and you're keeping a consistent seam allowance. And then I like to just do a quick double check to make sure that my top stitch covers my basting stitch. Like, Yeah, I'm good. So if there were any issues, do a second row of stitching. It's not gonna hurt anything. Be okay. I'm gonna check my bobbin. Would have made it, but I'm not. Not me. My battery already died on a camera, so like, not risking it, you know? Okay, so we're going to separate lining and exterior. I'm going to find that turn hole and grab the bottom of the bag. Sorry, I saw a zipper pull sitting here and I'm like, where do you belong? Why are you here? Pressing into those corners, just making sure they sit nicely. So cute. Check your zipper. Make sure it's not folded weird. Make sure you caught everything. Looks pretty good. Make sure it's as consistent as possible as well. I know easier said than done, but now I'm going to take my zipper pocket and turn that right side. Okay. I'm opening it. I'm removing it from being where it should be to where it shouldn't be. Putting my hand in and grabbing what I left open on the other side and pulling that through just a little bit. Now we can sew this together. Yes. Opening up the center. If you want to reinforce the stitches like you did on the rest of it, you can. But I'm just going to put that back. I think if I made this again, I might reinforce the gusset with some interfacing. Things aren't sitting weird, but the piping would also help everything sit. You could also try to top stitch it if you wanted. All right, we're gonna close this zipper pocket, folding the raw edges down inside the bag. And this is where I like to add silly little woven. Press that down inside. And now we're going to turn and press the lining all the way inside the bag, rolling the seam as we do this. Now, it's kind of hard to do that when there's a zipper right at the top, but you can still kind of massage it and press it, and then we'll clip just past it on the side. If you added D-rings or triangle rings like I did, just make sure they're folded down and out of the way. I'm gonna press that down inside the bag. Zip my zipper pocket. Everything sits really nicely. Okay. And now we're gonna top stitch. So increase my stitch length just by a little bit. You don't have to, but I like to. And then just pick where you want to start. I'm gonna smoosh the bag. This kind of top zipper is pretty tricky to do. It just takes practice and time. All right, right now, I want to make sure I've got the bag flat, and I'm just gonna pull just a little bit at a time, but not too hard on the zipper itself. And I've got my hand here. I don't move it until I'm ready to move everything. And I know there's nothing under here that I should be worried about top stitching through. Readjust. We're where we've clipped already, so that's good. Okay. Roll that seam, make sure nothing is under there that shouldn't be. And when you take a seam like this that can seem kind of daunting to top stitch all at once and just make it a couple of different top stitches, it's a little less overwhelming. Okay, and then that and double check. Oh yeah, looks great. Reshape. Still got a little bit of a wavy zipper. And after all that care. All right, I know that my zipper lengths are exactly the same. So I'm just gonna add that zipper pull, making sure to watch the end of my zipper and that they are perfectly aligned. Push them through at the same time. All right, it's not that wavy. All right, and then I'm just gonna add zipper end hardware. I'm gonna trim this, and then I'll add a zipper end, not just the glitter clip, a real zipper end, just not right now. Just tap that on in there. Otherwise, this bag is done. We'll clip on our strap, which looks so pretty with it. So got Nice curved edges. And once you fill this with stuff, it warms up, it wears a little bit over time. It's gonna sit a little bit differently, but I'm in love with that back slip pocket as well. I love that little accent. I love the card slots, the zipper pocket, but yeah. Your bag is now complete. You could do a cork strap, of course, cork crossbody, or whatever you'd like, really. But I'm really happy with it. So thanks for watching. If you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you would. I would love to know if you enjoyed the changes I made to this bag or not. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Oh, shit.